would say most men don't have game because first of all, I'm friends with guys who like have a dating coach company, and like there was a big crackdown in the media on like guys learning pickup. Like a lot of guys, like back in the day, they had these like hidden camera videos where they would like, go approach women and like they would show like the whole process of like from cold approach to how you get her into bed. They would show and they would have that on YouTube. Like if you go back in the like maybe some of you guys are too young to remember this, but back around like 2000, from 2010 to like 2000 maybe 14, it was pretty common to just go on the internet. You can see guys cold approaching women, making out with random women. Tons of videos like that, like RSD. Basically, there were a lot of pickup companies that were teaching this kind of stuff, and the media kind of cracked down on this. Like, hey, look at what these guys are doing, and there was like a big crackdown, and a lot of pickup companies went out of business. So basically, it's kind of like a lost art, like game, like being able to game a woman, like from cold approach or whatever to like getting her into bed. They don't really teach it as publicly as they used to. Maybe some of you guys remember that book by the pickup artist Neil Strauss called The Game. That was like a really popular book in pickup artist culture, and that culture doesn't really exist anymore. Like a lot of those companies went out of business. Like guys aren't really learning how to get women the way they used to in the early 2000s.
So what do you think language barriers makes a huge difference in this situation with the type of woman you get?
Yeah, there is women want a guy that they can communicate with. And if you look at the behavior, a lot of passport bros go to countries, Colombia, Brazil, Thailand, whereas like you don't need to communicate, you just need that money. You got some money. And I think that kind of, you saw yesterday, like you saw on the live stream, I don't know why guys kept bringing up P for P. Like, I don't know why. That wasn't even the topic of conversation, but guys kept bringing it up for some reason. And it's like, I think that kind of skews your perception, right? Like if you only go to these countries where there are a lot of women who are happy to give it up for like, $50, that's going to change your perception of foreign women. And a lot of passport bros, they go to those kind of countries and they we need to branch out, because if you go to a richer country or a more developed country, you're not going to get no hot Chinese girl for $50, bro. Like, Chinese guys are out here throwing millions of dollars at women. Like you're not, I know you've probably seen those stories of like Chinese guy buys 20 iPhones for girl to propose or something like that. That's what guys are doing over here in the richer countries. So I think that kind of, when you realize how much money guys are throwing at women, they'll let you know, like, hey, like you can't just go to these poor countries and like, oh, I'm American with a passport and $100. I can get baddies. But yeah, you need to speak the language. Speaking the language helps you communicate, helps you get the girl, and helps you keep her. And, it just makes things a lot easier.
So do you speak Mandarin?
Yeah. I studied Chinese for over 6 years. Fluent, like I'm enough. I can date. I had like a 2-year relationship with a girl who didn't speak any English. And during that time, like my Chinese was freaking good. Like, and she spoke in the local dialect. Like in China, different parts of China, they got their own kind of dialect. So in my part of China, they speak like the Sichuanhua dialect. I dated a girl, like my accent was getting better. Like I wasn't like, I can't speak like a local, but basically, my Chinese got really good from dating a girl who doesn't speak any English.
Okay, so do you think stereotypes about Americans limit the quality of woman you can get?
Generally speaking, Americans, based off what I've seen, we do have an overall positive image in most countries. I would say most countries I've been to. There was a time, like a lot of guys got angry at me, right? Like if you look at my YouTube channel, I made a video that had like Donald Trump in the thumbnail. And what I talked about was how when Donald Trump was president, it kind of made things awkward for me here in China, because so many Chinese people hate Donald Trump and they talk trash about Donald Trump. So, it's kind of awkward. Like if you walk into a room of like Chinese business people and they're talking about how much they hate Donald Trump, and hey, I walk in like, hey, I'm American. I go in like waving my American flag around. It makes things kind of awkward. So a lot of guys got on me. Well, I mean, not a lot. Yeah, a lot of guys jumped on me in the comment section because they thought that I was saying that I dislike Trump or something. I don't really have any strong political opinions about this. I'm just stating the facts. I'm stating the facts that when Donald Trump was president, it did make things awkward for Americans in China. Yeah.
So are there a lot of American men in China?
Yeah, like, I work at a university and most of my coworkers are American or from the UK. There's not many American black men. Like, I think I'm one of the only few American black men, maybe on YouTube. Like, if you look at YouTube, like Black in China, I'm like the only American black guy, I think, who's putting out regular content about China. Most of the other guys are African. So it's like, I don't think there's many black American guys who are crazy enough to come over here. But the guys who do come over here, they enjoy it. But yeah,
Why do you
there
say
are
crazy
some
enough?
Americans.
Why do you say crazy enough to go over there?
I started to realize, so I started getting into social media like a year and a half ago, like back in 2002, and I didn't know at the time that China had such a terrible image in America. Like, guys would hear that I'm in China, and they would think, "Oh, like, are you under surveillance right now? Like, are you like locked up? Am I in jail?" Like, a lot of Americans have like a crazy idea about what goes on in China. Like, they think that as soon as you get off the plane, like the government just like arrests you and like programs your brain or something. Like, there are a lot of people. Like, if you look in my comment section, especially in my YouTube shorts, there are lots of people who think that I'm like a spy for the Chinese government, that I like make Chinese propaganda. And it's like, they just can't believe that a black person and like American has anything good to say about China. So I get accused of being a spy all the time.
Okay, so Eldridge Freeman sent $5. So why do you have a picture with none on your page to show everyone you had that just asking sucker stuff to me?
So I found out about, here's what happened. I'm in different Facebook groups. So back in around October, I was in Thailand. I was in Thailand filming content. And I think it was like late October, November, I posted a clip of me and that girl Nan in like the Facebook group, like many different groups, probably in your group too, like the Enlightened Western Men. And I got like a lot of comments, people saying, "Hey, that's like so-and-so's girl." And I didn't know who like the guy was, like Game Abroad. I didn't know who that guy was at the time. It was back in November. And I think his channel wasn't as big back then. So I had a bunch of people, but I was already planning on using that clip and that thumbnail at that time. So like, it wasn't really anything against him. It was just like, I was already planning on doing that. And the girl, she hopped all up in the video. Like, you saw in the video, like, I didn't pull her into the video. She jumped on me, and she did that twice. I only caught it on camera once, but she did it twice. Like, like she was kind of aggressive with it. And yeah, but it was just a good thumbnail. And I knew when I posted the video recently, I knew it was going to get some kind of controversy. I had no idea that girl was so popular, because literally like every day I get like so many comments like, "Hey, that's Nan, that's Nan." I'm like, how do all you guys know Nan? Like, that girl's famous, man. But yeah.
Okay, and we got another $5 super chat from James Morton. Thank you for the super chat. And another one from Fine Loving Dominican Republic. He sent another $5. But when you send the link, Austin, I want to hop on. I'll open up a discussion here in a few minutes. So, since you said that there's other Americans in China, can you give me an example of when you've seen American men struggle to date an attractive woman in China?
Honestly, I don't think us Americans, we have we have privilege, man. Like, honestly, we have privilege. Like, in terms of like our attractiveness, our country is pretty much up there, pretty much near number one in terms of like how attractive our country is. Now, our country is not very accessible to Chinese people compared to like maybe European countries, so that could affect things. But generally, like, when people hear USA, America, people are like, "Dang, I wish I had that passport." Like, I was talking to one of my friends today. He's from that country, Libya, where they got Gaddafi. His family is very well connected with the Gaddafi regime, like the leadership there. And he was telling me, "Man, your American passport, man, like, I wish I had that." And but yeah, man, I don't think you're not gonna get rejected for being American. Probably not. You're more likely to get rejected based off your appearance or maybe your race than your nationality as an American. Like unless you're coming from like some kind of third world country where there's like a war going on and the currency is really low and nobody wants to travel there, you're probably not going to get rejected based on your country. It's generally a positive to be from America. So I wouldn't say I've seen any instances where being American, like, oh, I can't get chicks because I'm American. Like I haven't seen that in 10 years.
Well, what I'm saying is like, for example, I've seen some guys come to Brazil, go to Thailand, and not Thailand. They went to Brazil and they couldn't date there because they're still operating off of American ways of dating.
Mm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I've seen guys do that.
Were you at that point one time?
Yeah, I was at that point. Like, so right now, guys, you guys got to understand that YouTube is really a blessing because we got content creators like Austin, like me, people who are out here like giving you guys info about how women are. But back then, there wasn't much info. So when I was dealing with Asian women, it took me a while to figure out, like, hey, like, I don't treat them like American women. Like, I don't need to play all these, like, there's a difference between playing games and having game. So when I say playing games, I'm saying like, oh, I got to wait like 3 days to text her. Don't want to seem too thirsty, whatever. Like playing those kind of games. It took me a while to realize that, hey, I don't need to do that. But I'm a slow learner. Maybe a lot of other guys learned it before me. But yeah, I did have that like problem.